Welcome, one and all, to the MindMesh podcast. My name's Chayton.
And I'm Besh.
And tonight, I guess we have a fucking robot on set. Everyone welcome Fishbot. Yeah, whoa.
Thank you.
You're doing like what the voice actor for SpongeBob does when he has to do the laugh. He like jabs at his Adam's apple.
I saw this. I can't remember where I saw this trick at, but I saw it once. So I started using it.
So we have two honestly fairly tame topics for the podcast this week.
Probably the most tame that we've ever had.
Yeah, no, it's usually like and we've discussed this before. It's like usually when we have a guest on, me and Fish will have some tame topics because we know whatever our guest is going to do is super outlandish. Or on the flip end, usually if it's just me and Fish, one of us will have an outlandish topic and the other one will have something more tame.
Yeah.
In this case, we're both tame. And I can't really explain why. We just both came up with some like two
more wholesome kind of topics.
Yeah, two very wholesome topics to discuss. So first up in our minds. Sorry, my disc skipped there.
Sorry, bad connection. He's buffering.
Yeah, neither of those were actually intentional. I don't know what just happened with my mouth. But anyways, so me and Fish both have this odd attraction, I would say, to tiny homes. Now, tiny homes were a big craze back in the, I guess, early 2010s.
Like mid 2010s, like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, I think that's when the whole tiny house
movement started.
The tiny house market really boomed. And I was super interested in them. I watched like the HGTV tiny home shows. I watched people building them on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's where I got into it because I started watching videos of like people like making log cabins out in the woods, like out of fucking like the trees around them, and I'm glad
we grew up the same.
Like it's a little like a step above primitive technology. Like they have like hand tools, but that's about it.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say is I feel like the reason that I have this like connection, this odd connection of like watching people build these houses.
Yeah.
Is because my dad's in construction and I used to be on the job site with him when he would build houses. So I think there's this odd like distinction in the back of my brain where it's just like, this is enjoyable for me to watch because I grew up helping do it.
Yeah, you know a little bit about it.
Yeah, so like I too also grew up watching people build log cabins, or like sometimes they weren't out in the woods. It was like a back shed, back shop type deal.
Yeah.
But I loved I loved watching them do it because I loved watching other people's like aspects and ideas when it came to certain things. Like, oh, this is the reason why you pick these kinds of knobs for the faucet of the sink. And it's just like, what's wrong with you? But it's also like, it's just this weird kind of like out of touch aspect where it's like you're watching these people.
It's so weird because like what you're saying about the like faucet thing, like the knobs on the faucet, people start to obsess when
they get so particulate about it.
Little things. But we say that's weird. But have you ever built something though? Because I built. I was working on something a bit ago where I had to pick out like handles and stuff like that, and going to Lowe's or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, I say it's weird, but no, everyone has their tastes. Everyone, what becomes weird to me is when you're having to pick the tastes of other people.
Oh yeah,
like that was always the weirdest aspect when my dad would build houses back in the day. Was of course they picked out most of the stuff that went into the houses, and it never occurred to me as like, what if they don't like this paint color?
Yeah.
Like, and that goes into the fact of like, once you buy a house or whatever, you can do whatever the fuck you want to it.
Yeah.
If you want to paint the walls mint green, be my guest. You own it. Do whatever you want.
I'm not going to go to that house if it's painted mint green.
There's a few houses in my hometown where the outside is painted like mint green.
I kind of would like the house itself to be mint green.
I will say this, my favorite thing and my favorite, like, a house can be so plain Jane, but I love stonework at like the border of homes.
Oh yeah, or like the chimney
Yeah.
that goes off the side. Sorry,
no.
cut you off.
I love stonework, so I love brickwork, especially when it comes to like the base foundation of the house and like the deck. But my favorite thing that you can do to a house, favorite thing, is have a bomb ass colored door.
Oh yeah, just something that like sticks out.
Yeah, like if your house is all grayscale because the siding of your house is like beige, and then you have like gray and black rock work at the bottom or like red brickwork. If you have a poppy turquoise door, that says so much more to me about your personality than anything else you've done in the inside of your house. Or like if you have a
stark white house and then like a bright like cherry red door.
Yeah, no, it says so much more about your personality than anything you could do inside the house. If you just have a bomb ass colored door, I like you already. But
I've never thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of those cool little quirks that you can do, or I say quirk, it's improvements. I'm going to count as an improvement because if you just have a normal colored door, I think you're doing it wrong already.
So going back to the tiny houses.
I was about to work our way back to like shrinking down and that sort of thing. But what were you like?
I was gonna ask you, are you more of a fan of like the trailer, like you hitch it and move around type tiny homes, or like the stationary, like they're built some like a home, like a small little like hut built like somewhere stationary?
I think it's very dependent on the kind of person, because when you get into the thing where this tiny home can hitch and move, then it's just a camper.
Essentially, yeah.
It feels homier and not like a metal box. So for me personally, when I think of tiny homes, I love the aspect that you can hitch it and move it, but I would want something that's stationary with the option
to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't even remember the term for these. You know, I don't know if you have this in your hometown. I have a house like it's almost like a dealership, but for houses. And you can just go and buy like a little, like, it's it's almost trailer park-esque houses type deal. And literally you can just, you buy it, they load it up on one of those oversized load trucks, and they just take it to wherever your lot is and they drop it off.
I don't think I have one of those in my town, but I know
have exactly like 2 or 3.
I know exactly what you're talking about though.
But so like in that aspect, I like the idea that this house is stationary, but if you had to move it, you can. So I would say I would like a mixture of both. Something that like you can set off of said trailer hitch and it be stationary. But if you ever needed to like go gadget, press a button on the side of the house, wheels just pop out from under it like an ATV and you just hitch it and go. You know what? Let's make a tiny house that's drivable. What do you say?
I mean, people have done that. People take like buses and make tiny houses.
Oh, yeah, true. Well, I was thinking more of like somehow taking a moped or like a 3-wheeled motorcycle and just like taking it apart and extending it and then putting a house on it. So that way, whenever you want to move, you just hop onto the front and just drive down the road with your little house.
I think the craziest tiny house I saw, and it wasn't really even a tiny house. It was just like, it was like this 3-wheeled bicycle that had like, what kind of material is it? We have them in our equipment room. They're normally like signs, and we use them as bounce boards.
Oh,
with that weird like plastic material that has that like
it's like drywall-esque.
Yeah,
it's a plaster board or whatever, poster board.
Well, it looks almost like foam core poster board, but it's like hard plastic.
Oh, yeah.
They made like this capsule out of that. And it was just like a bed. It was the weirdest. It's probably the weirdest one I've seen.
What was it? There was like one that was like based out in the forest, and it was, I think they used shipping containers as the tiny house, and they just, I don't know, I don't remember if it was in a forest or not. For whatever reason, my brain's remembering this video of they were in this forest. Yeah. But they would just stack these shipping containers on top of each other and put up walls in there. But there was like it wasn't just like a stack of shipping containers.
They were like stuck out.
Yeah, they were all like Tetris and Jenga together.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Also, speaking of tiny houses are just tree houses that are on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, essentially,
Like, I think that's where the tiny
like
house.
adult tree houses.
Yeah, no. Well, have you seen the crazy nonsense tree houses that like adults
Yes.
make to just live in and
Yes.
like are actual houses? That's where I want to live.
I saw one of those the other day.
Oh, did you actually?
Not in real life, but like a YouTube video.
Yeah, that disappoints me. But anyway, but no, I would love to live in an adult tree house because I mean that's literally just a tiny home up in the air. I don't think I could ever actually live in like the true definition of a tiny home, mainly just due to my height, and I cared too much about my posture and not having a broken back by the age of 40 that I don't think it's smart for me personally to ever dream of having a tiny home. But also the state that, well, I mean, I guess I live in, you halfway live in. Primarily,
I go
80% of the time.
I go to school here.
Yeah, go to school here. But our state actually passed a law. Maybe it was like a year ago. Like it's fresh on my mind. So I'd have to think it's within the past year that basically bans tiny homes from being on people's property and stuff like that. So it made it really hard for like any tiny homes to be built in our state or like to be moved around in our state because people. And I guess the main problem was like it's like a son building a tiny house in the backyard of a mom on the mom and dad's property type deal.
They're not,
and then
they're
not
getting away
paying
with like tax stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like you're evading tax stuff because your property is too small to actually be taxed type deal, and it's a bunch of weird lawful gobbledygook that I mean, if I was going to law school, man, I would love to dig into it, but
sadly, you're not.
Yeah, sadly, I'm not going to law school. I'm not trying to be a lawyer. Who would have thought that I wouldn't go down that path? But so like I've always had this interest in tiny homes and stuff like that. Like I would love to actually see one in person. I would love to actually like go into a tiny home, but do I think I would ever live in one? No. Now a tree house. I'd live in a tree house.
I'd love to just be able to live in a tiny home where you could just be able to move around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like those retired like grandparents that have that giant drivable RV and they just drive across the country and they basically live out of that. I mean,
that's what I'd want to do.
It's like, yeah, it's like a similar thing. It's like, and that goes back to my point. It's like, if you're gonna do that, why not just go the cheaper route and just buy a small camper type deal? And I get it. It's like a tiny home's more homey with your like 3-foot little bed. No, I can't say bed. I don't know why I thought 3-foot bed. I'm thinking real tiny homes right now. But like I don't know. If I guess I start drawing a line if you're like moving constantly with a tiny home. So it's like, why not just go the cheaper route of just getting a pre-built camper? But then it also goes like you have more pride in it because I mean
you're also living in it, so not necessarily it's just like a thing you have to stay in.
Yeah.
So like you want it to feel more homey and more personal.
Well, I mean, you can do that with a camper.
That's fair, but
I was about to say like I guess there's more a pride of like building it from the ground up.
Yeah.
Than just buying a camper and then modifying the inside to be more homey type deal. So I see why having a tiny home over a camper is like desirable. But I just think like for the purpose of what it's for, I just see a camper being a better option.
I get that.
I mean, I don't know. But like going back to just watching tiny homes, this is the big thing about tiny homes is that you have to be genius to live in one of these things. If you're designing and building tiny homes, you literally have to know how to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded because the way they have
to fucking be a perfect Tetris player.
Yeah, no, because the fact that there are certain tiny homes where literally you open up the bathroom door and there's a toilet there, and then above the toilet is the shower head that sprays its water directly into the toilet, and there's a drain on the floor. Like the fact that like you have to sometimes get that convoluted and that design savvy that you have to design a bathroom where a shower shoots perfectly into the toilet to preserve water. That's where I'm just like, tiny homes are ingenious, and geniuses live in tiny homes.
Oh yeah, there's so many, like you said, just like
Well, no, and it's also just
complications you have to go through.
Well, it's also just like a major storage thing, because with like a camper, you have outdoor storage containers that like are underneath the floor, and then you have cabinets on the inside and stuff like that. With a tiny home, you have that. It's just even more compact. So it's one of those things where like if you have a bookcase, that bookcase is also a staircase to lead up to the bed that's a loft above everything.
And if you have a couch, it's there's almost always like a trunk underneath the cushions.
Yeah, or like it's a couch and then somehow it magically folds into like a fucking dining room table set. Have you just a bit of a side note?
Those weird apartments where everything like folds out.
Like just transforming furniture in general. It's just wild. And like there's this one it's not furniture, it's a door, but like it's made out of triangles, and like you grab it and instead of opening out, it opens laterally. So you grab one triangle and you pull right, and then the other triangles rotate around, and then the door transforms to the other side.
It's almost like a sliding, like the movement of a sliding door.
It's a movement of a sliding door,
but it
except
all like
there's no
together.
Yeah, but there's no sliding. It's just rotating pieces.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I love transforming furniture, and I love transforming furniture with a purpose.
Oh yeah.
That's literally tiny homes are made from.
There's this one tiny home I saw where it was just like, it wasn't a shipping container, but it was like that kind of space. It was just like,
it was a straight shot.
Yeah, straight shot. So it had like in the front half, it had like a kitchen, and then it just went on, and there was like a bed, and then like a TV, and then like a little office space in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe a bathroom somewhere in the mix. But the dining table and I think like a bench and dining chairs were all folded up into the wall. So you could take like flush against the wall. So there are little like nooks that you'd have to pull out the things from.
Huh. Well, what I was going to say is that like, I know I said geniuses live in tiny homes, but it's also another very distinct feature is you have to be honestly a minimalist.
Oh, definitely.
You have to be OCD and a minimalist to live in a tiny home, because you can't like it's
easy to make a mess in a tiny home.
Yeah, no, it's like if you don't throw away one chip bag into the trash can, all of a sudden your apartment's dirty, or like, I say apartment, your tiny home is dirtier than most houses in America. Like, it's just this like
that one chip bag is 10% of like
it's 10% of your floor, and it's just if you're not a minimalist, if you're not okay with only having like one pair of clothes per day that you wash every Sunday and then you just wear the same thing over and over again, or if you're like not okay with I only need these things for my pockets, anything else is can go into long-term storage under the house type deal.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to be a minimalist.
That's what would worry about. That's what I would worry about myself.
Yeah.
For mainly like us again being in film and me being a camera guy, I have a lot of gear that I carry with me.
Well, if you're talking about having one that hitches, that means you have your car.
That's true too.
Which means that's also storage space. And I've seen some crazy people turn the back of vans into tiny homes.
Oh yeah. Like vans and
basically people just want to make fucking glorified RVs. That's all that people want to do.
They want to make smaller RVs.
Yeah, they want to make smaller RVs that is even somehow more cramped than a cramped RV. That's all they want. They just want to be tiny. They just want to live their lives on the edge, be a minute. It's like you're going camping every day. It's literally what it is. You're just going camping.
I know. Does that not sound amazing?
I mean, yeah, to a point, but I also have allergies, so it's like I would just be cooped up in this little like 5 foot by 5 foot home. And I don't know how much I could stand.
I'm looking at your computer setup and trying to imagine that in a tiny home.
No, literally, this room is like the size of the room that we record in is the size of a tiny home.
It'd be about,
except the ceiling is about 5 feet shorter.
Yeah, because then you'd put a fucking bed right above us.
There'd be a bed above us. So basically, you'd have to have a little workshop rolling chair that's at your door, so that way you could just scoot around. So that
Yeah,
it's like those automatic chairs that like go down the stairwells for like that's what's in the house. It's just a looping chair. You come in, you sit down, you just joystick left, right. That's all.
It's like on a little track.
Yeah. No,
goes around.
That sounds perfect. Okay, I reverse everything I said. I want to live in a tiny home now.
So then you don't have to, and then that chair can just fold out into a bed.
Yeah,
you don't even need the bed up there.
No,
it folds out.
There's one point in the rail that just goes straight up. You don't even need stairs. You just press a button, and then all of a sudden you're going up, and then you just roll out into your bed. It's perfect. Better yet, the chair raises up, and then hydraulics make the chair lay flat, so it becomes part of the bed.
So like, that's what I was saying, except
now I'm adding even more bits and pieces of it to make it more complex.
Yeah, so can the bottom of the chair come out so you can shit in? So not shit in the chair. Oh, it becomes a
toilet?
Yeah, like
there's also a side rail that goes into the bathroom, and then
it goes over the toilet, and then a flap comes down off the chair so you can shit.
But then you have to worry about, so are you just not wearing pants?
No, you can be there's a little bit of effort.
Okay, does this chair also have a bidet feature? Because that's a requirement.
No, but maybe the toilet you put into the tiny house can, and you have to just make the trajectory not hit.
I'm just thinking just a single PVC pipe. I'm thinking we're going astronauts with this, where it's just a single little hole. That's all. What, does that not sound good to you?
Just do it like the Japanese do and cut a hole in like the bottom of the ground and squat.
I mean, that's what most that's porter potty outhouse type deal. Except
I've heard that's a lot better for you though. Like the posture.
Oh yeah, no, because that's why the squatty potty is super popular.
Yeah,
is because the way that we sit pinches our intestines to where it's harder to get them bowel movements out. No, was that gross to you? The fact that I went bowel movement?
No, I'm just fucking 12, so I fucking...
You laughed, you giggled. You said, ha ha, he said bowel movement.
Ha ha, poo poo, pee pee.
Ha ha, funny joke. But I don't know. I feel like why are we talking about toilets? That's my big thing. How did we were talking about beds and like hydraulic chairs, and then you said, let's make it into a toilet.
Well, we were talking about what all this like chair could do in this tiny home, and I was just saying it could also be a toilet. So then you don't ever have to fucking get up. It just fucking...
Yeah, you just live sedentary Wall-E style.
Exactly.
That's what I want. I need a Wall-E chair. That's what I want in life. I want to live...
tiny homes, just
no tiny home, just Wall-E chair. Let's get on it. Hover technology, I need you to catch up with the times.
Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, Boston Dynamics. I know you just made your robots like commercially available. All right, next task, hoverboards.
Wall-E chair.
Or hover technology. Wall-E chair. That's all we need. But anyways, I think this is as good a time of any, now that we have demanded technology be invented in our day and age, to take an ad break. Look, Fish, I need to know something. I need to know. Have you heard?
Yeah.
You have? Are you sure?
Possibly. You can tell me though.
Have you heard of Anchor?
Like the thing that's on like boats?
No. Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll let you explain. You said you knew about it.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Okay.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, there's
absolutely free. No charge.
No charge.
Uh-huh.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Wait, phone? You can just pull out your phone
and edit your podcast right from it. And
that's wild. That's absolutely wild. What else does it do?
Well, you can distribute your podcast, or Anchor will distribute your podcast for you.
Where?
So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else. Many more.
Wait, so like Google Podcasts and all of those, you can hear it using Anchor? Oh my, really? What else do they do?
You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership.
No minimum listenership? Are you kidding me?
Man.
You can just make money from making a podcast?
Yeah,
I didn't know you could do that.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Wait, so you're telling me that if if our listeners want to make a podcast, all they have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started and make their own podcast.
Yes, that's all they have to do is download
all they have to do?
The free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
That's absolutely wild. What a great steal.
What a great steal.
Speaking of time... Bro, this isn't the masturbation episode. I don't know why you're doing that.
I'm just shaking water.
Whoa, stop ruining the Foley effects. But speaking of tiny homes, there's one key factor of a tiny home that I don't think I could ever actually deal with. And that's a tiny kitchen. Chug, do it. You need to finish it right now. I'm watching. Oh, yep, disappointment. That's what's on my face again.
I'm sorry.
But anyways, so I don't think I could ever deal with a tiny home because of a tiny kitchen.
I think your biggest thing is like a lack of an oven.
Yeah, that would also be a big thing. I mean,
like I see most tiny homes, they at least have like a stovetop, but I don't see many that have like a full oven.
Okay, well, with the evolution of air fryers, fun fact, those are just really small convection ovens.
Really?
I mean, in layman's terms, yeah, they're just small ovens.
Okay.
The reason they fry food is because of how fast they're able to heat up, because the way that the fans blow in the hot air to heat everything up, because it's such a small encapsulated space, it makes it heat up faster than an oven and cook faster than an oven. And it makes it give a fried effect.
Okay.
But yeah, no, basically an air fryer is a convection oven. So that would be my workaround for that. I would just need a big air fryer.
Which takes space.
Yeah, which takes space, which goes back to, well, I mean, before we were recording, we were talking about this, and you were saying that someone had, for their tiny home, had like 8-foot long counter space in their kitchen, but it was because they just had a roll-out bed that they put on top of it.
No. They put the bed on top of like we were talking about earlier, above everything.
Oh, in a loft, and for the support, it just caused it to have 8-foot long countertops for the kitchen?
Well, it just gave that so much space.
That he was able to do that.
Yeah, because they cooked a lot, and they were big cooks, so they
well, it's also one of those things where
kitchen.
like a camper that my family used to have, I absolutely loved, because on the outside it had one of those actual like fold out stoves, so you could like cook outside and inside at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
So it had like 2 extra stove eyes outside, and then of course the normal 4 inside, plus the oven and all that nonsense. But no, I literally, that's my key deterrent is A, my height, and B, I can't do a small kitchen. I love cooking too much.
I understand.
I love, like, food is my hobby.
I know.
Look, man, I've been trying to teach you how to cook for 3 years now.
And I've gotten better.
Yeah, you could say that.
I'm actually meal prepping more.
You meal prepped once. And it's still in the fridge from a month ago. What do you mean?
The audience doesn't have to know that.
But no, like food is my hobby. Food, I love learning new ways to cook, new ways to prepare things. And I'm going to take a clear and defined stance right here, right now. If you're frozen food that you're buying, because, I mean, we're college kids. Yes, we still eat frozen food. If on the back of that bag of frozen chicken nuggets or the back of that pizza box, if it gives you instructions on how to cook it in the microwave, if you follow those instructions, you're wrong. You need to reevaluate your life. You need to basically reset your brain, because if there's microwave instructions, I know damn well there's oven instructions. And if you ain't doing it in the oven over the microwave, I get that it takes longer. It's worth it. I don't care what anyone says. Oven cooking something is so much better than microwave cooking something.
It took me a while to
This was the first step. This was the first step of Fisher's rehabilitation when it came to cooking. And I'm proud to say he's an oven convert.
I will occasionally still use the microwave.
Well, I understand. It's like it's a ease of access. Like if you don't have time, yeah, fucking pop it in the microwave for 5 minutes, whatever.
But it does taste so much better, because like frozen foods aren't always the best. So like you try and make them as best as you can.
Yeah, no. And I'll say this, the one thing that I've actually never done is, you know how you can buy like fried chicken tenders and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I've never gone with the fried method that you can use to reheat them. Like on corn dogs, there's instructions on how to deep fry them again to warm them up. And I've never gone that route. I've never done that method.
My parents did that a lot.
I just feel like that's adding so much more oil to injury. Like I feel they're already jam packed of like bad shit and oil. And I feel like for a lot of those, refrying them's just adding more to the process. I don't know.
You are right. I'm not going to say you're wrong.
But man, do Americans love oil and butter.
Right?
Hell yeah. That's also like a big thing. I mean, it's one of those things where like throughout my life, I've had so many distinct changes when it comes to my cooking. Because I mean, I used to be like you in like middle school whenever I would have to like cook lunch or like cook a dinner or whatever on weekends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it used to be more than likely I would be cooking that stuff in the microwave. I'd be taking the easy way out. And that's because I had like a freak accident as a child. And I can tell this story because it's a grand old story. Because I like to make my mother feel bad. So when I was young, you know how there's two kinds of ramen noodles. There's the ones that come to little plastic baggies and then the ones that come to styrofoam cups.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother decided for whatever reason that, let's try the styrofoam cup ramen noodles. So she buys them, brings them. And for them, I mean, they taste the exact same, basically. They're just in a, you just don't have to provide your own bowl. But, so I was cooking one of these one time. And of course, pop it in the microwave, heat it up, let it steep, let it simmer. I'm not a huge fan of instant ramen broth. Like I love ramen. I love going to ramen shops and just sipping that broth right out of the bowl. But there's something about the fact that I know that instant ramen broth isn't true.
Not real broth.
It's not real. Packet. Yeah, it's just a packet dissolved in water.
It's not no pork bone.
Yeah, it ain't no pork bone broth. It ain't none of that. So I like to pour most of it out. I would say like if I'm eating instant ramen and like the fill line that they have is 100%, I'll pour it out till it's about 25-30%. Like that's how little broth I like when it comes to instant ramen noodles.
I get you.
So good old kid me decided, you know what? This is a cup. This is pourable. So I go over to the sink and I tip the styrofoam cup towards the sink, not thinking, about how water tends to stick to things.
And trickle down.
Yeah, and trickle down the side of cups. So my fingers were on the exterior of the cup, pouring away from myself. So if you can imagine holding a cup and you're pouring it away from you, you know how your fingers are technically right on the bottom of that cup.
Yeah.
Let's just say that
the
boiling hot water rolled down the side of said cup and burned me. Pretty bad. 2nd degree. Pretty bad. The hair on my knuckles still doesn't grow back the same way. And there's a distinct color difference on one hand compared to the other when like looking at how pale and white they are. Fisher's trying to analyze, but we're in a dark room, so you can't tell.
I know.
But anyways, so I do this. I scream out in pain. I throw the ramen noodles into the sink, and like I instantly turn on the cold water and just put my hand under it. So my mother comes in, and she's like, "What happened?" And I'm bawling and crying. It's like I poured boiling water all over my fucking hands, Mom. As like a 5th grader, that's what I did. I screamed, "Fuck you, Mom! I poured boiling water on my hands."
And cried like a baby.
Yeah. So like I'm running cold water over them and she's like, "Oh, you'll be fine. They don't look all that bad." Of course, my hand was just red because it literally had happened 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Hour and a half passes. I'm still under the sink. Cold water still running on my hands. At this point, the blisters had formed and they were about probably an inch and a half off my fingers.
Oh my God.
So my mom has like been working and stuff like that, and she finally comes back and is like, "How are you feeling?" Like she had been checking on me from time to time, and I would say the blister formed in about 5 minutes. That's how fast they formed. So of course she'd been coming to check it up on me and like trying to like put ice and stuff on him, make sure I was okay. Of course I was still like in pain. And so she comes in, sees these like inch tall blisters. Her eyes go like her face goes pale. Her eyes go wide. And she's like, we need to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
So they get a bowl, they pour ice water into it. And basically they just sit my hand in all the way to the emergency room. And, we sat there, we visited the doctor. They told me I had 2nd-degree burns. And then I had to wear like those medical gauze and wrap those around my fingers for like 2 months, waiting for it to heal. And then, fun fact, during the healing process, my hand actually got slammed into the door crease. So it popped all the blisters in one fell swoop. And man, oh man, was that a delightful experience to feel.
All that.
But all this connecting back in middle school when I would cook stuff in the microwave, that basically stopped me from cooking. Because I used to cook dinner with my mom. And since then, I haven't been, like, there was literally all throughout high school, basically, where I just refused to cook. Because I was just so worried about hurting myself again.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I had instant ramen. Can't tell you. Yeah, I cannot tell you the last time I had instant ramen since then. But like,
I can.
You can tell me when I had instant ramen last? When?
When all of our buddies went up to the cabin we hang out at.
Oh, that was instant ramen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we made a big pot of ramen.
But our friend cooked that though.
Yeah. Yeah, our friend also made a broth to put into that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He like pre-made something and then he just poured all the packets into it to add more flavor.
Okay. Because I knew the packets were still used in it.
Yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, I have had instant ramen recently.
But
not of my own volition.
Yeah. You didn't go and
I didn't store out of my way. And it's like, oh, I want instant ramen. Yeah. So no, I would say after that, there was a good like solid 6-7 years of my life where I just refused to cook. And then I, moving to college and having to like fend for myself, I was just like, you know what? Let's get back into it. And I haven't looked back.
Ever since I've known you in college, you were at least for baking stuff in the oven, and then probably like halfway through freshman year, maybe.
It was sophomore year when I started my whole meal prep craze. Because
you still would make food though. You still like would do dishes, or like make meals instead of all frozen food like I did freshman year.
Yeah, no. I started meal prepping probably 2 years ago. And I never looked back. And it's one of those things where like for me, meal prep is more a exploratory thing than it is a diet thing, or like just it's an ease type deal because you cook all your food one day of the week. And
that's what it is for me.
And then you have it for dinner. For me, it's that. But for more importantly,
you get to try new dishes every week.
Yeah, it's exploratory for me. So it's like literally I'll go on any recipe site and I'll just scroll. I'll be like, okay, this is the protein I want. Mm-hmm. And I'll just scroll through all their protein recipes until I'm like, oh, this honey Dijon salmon bake sounds really good. Or this feta and spinach turkey burgers sound really good. Like, and I push myself to like, yeah, I'll go back and do like classics that my mom taught me as a kid, or like that's in the family cookbook. Yeah. But for like the most part, I try my best when it comes to meal prep. That like I know what I like, I know what my taste buds are like, so I know what recipes I steer towards, but I always try and do something new because I always want to push myself when it comes to cooking to make more.
I get you.
And this just a little teaser because this will tie into our next podcast episode. I also love cooking for people. Like that's one of my favorite things to do above anything else. Is completely off topic, going to movies with people because I love seeing people's reaction other than my own, which is why I like that we do movie talks. And then B, I love cooking for other people because I don't even have to like the dish. It could be something I completely despise, but
as long as the other person.
But if everyone else likes it, I'm completely down for it.
I get you.
That's like my stance when it comes to cooking. It's like cooking for me is a hobby, and it's also kind of weird to think that we have a friend that's like going into that like chef field.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like I could have also probably gone down that path and been completely satisfied in life. Because like, well, it's all, I don't know how to, I'm trying to think of how to like phrase this when it comes to like how my mindset works to what I want to do for my job. Because like all throughout high school, I feel like we've talked about this, but it's also like, who knows what's podcast and what's real life anymore?
I mean, we just talk so much.
Yeah, we just talk so much. But back in high school, they always told me to go to like computer science and no, we definitely talked about this during the console war technology upgrade episode or something like that. But basically in high school, they told me I needed to go into a science field, be it computer science or engineering or something along those lines because of like how my grades were in school. But I decided to go to art school to study film. But I could have just as easily gone to culinary school.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like
I could see you doing
weird.
that.
Yeah, no, it's just weird how like my brain works. It's like I have the brain capacity to do like these weird scientific things and could be like a scientist. But nah, I said I want to go to film school.
Well, why don't we mix the two?
Why
don't we do a MindMesh cooking show?
A MindMesh cooking show that's all audio based. You can only hear the meat sizzling on the pan.
It'd be uploaded to our YouTube channel.
Well, maybe one day if we have, the time to make stuff like that.
That's true. We barely have time to make these.
Yeah. Hey, look, I have a great time with you.
I do too.
Recording these. I just want you to know that as my best bud, I can officially say that these are a good time.
They are a very good time.
And with that said, I would just like to say, join us next week for our Thanksgiving special. I guess you could call it that. It's
not really a special. We're probably just going to be talking about that.
We're going to be talking about Thanksgiving, basically, the entire episode, and what we're thankful for. So, I mean, if you want to join in, next week is going to be a hoot and a holler. We're going to be telling more personal stories, our own viewpoints when it comes to the holiday.
And some wacky stories that we both have from...
well, I said personal stories. Well, I didn't put wacky in front of it because,
Why? Well, I meant like personal as in like me and you.
Oh.
Like experiences we've had with Thanksgiving and stuff.
I get where you're coming from. So yeah, join us back next week on Monday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time for a special Thanksgiving episode of MindMesh, or
on Wednesday at the
Yuba of Tubes.
You take this one.
Yeah, at YouTube on the MindMesh YouTube channel, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll be a good old time. Of course, follow us, subscribe, like
all that.
Whatever platform you're listening to.
Do all that positive stuff.
Yeah, do all that positive stuff. Really make our egos soar outside of our bodies.
And if you hate us, dislike us.
Yeah.
Unfollow us.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah, that'll make our egos grow stronger than you could ever believe. Also, I'm about to go Macho Man Randy Savage up on y'all asses.
And I'm about to leave before I see that. I'll see you later, guys.
Wait, what?
Bye.